Hello everyone, I'm Miss Madhumita from Sahindam English in Kaveri College for Autonomous in Tiruchirappalli. This e-content is about the poem from Seven Laments for the Departed, written by Yehuda Amichai. Let's see about the author, Yehuda Amichai. Yehuda Amichai was an Israeli poet and author. He was born on May 3, 1924, Wandsbek, Germany, and he was died on September 2000 in Jerusalem, Israel. His poems were written in Hebrew, have been translated into more than 40 languages around the world. Next, let's see about the works and awards of Amichai. Now and in Other Days was published in the year 1955. The selected poetry of Yehuda Amichai was published in the year 1996. Exile at Home was published in the year 1998. Next, let's see about the awards received by Amichai. Salansky Prize in 1957, Bronner Prize in 1969, Bialik Prize in 1976, Israel Prize in 1982. Amichai also received International Poetry Prize and he was nominated several times for Nobel Prize in Literature. Next, let's see about the poem. From Seven Laments for the Departed, it was in seven brief poems. It was virtually written in Hebrew. This poem was translated into English by Amichai and Ted Hughes. The translated poem was titled in the name Seven Laments for the Fallen War. This poem is about Amichai war experiences. Now let's see the first stanza of the poem. Mr. Beringer, whose son fell at the canal that strangers stuck, so ships could cross the desert, crosses my path at Jaffa Gate. He has grown very thin, has lost the weight of his son. That's why he floats so lightly in the airs and gets caught in my heart like little twigs that drift away. Here, in the first stanza, the poet introduces a character named Mr. Beringer. So, in Jerusalem, there was a place named Jaffa Gate. There, the poet meets a man named Mr. Beringer, whose son was died in the war, which happens in Suez Canal. Where Suez Canal is a place where the ship used to pass from one place to another place. The poets say Mr. Beringer became very weak and dull. He also lost his weight and became lifeless due to the loss of his son in the war. So in the first stanza, the poet conveys the situation of the father after the loss of his son in the war. Next, let's see the second stanza of the poem. As a child, he would mash his potatoes to a golden mush, and then you die. A living child must be cleaned when he comes home from playing, but for a dead man, earth and sand are clear water, in which his body goes on being bathed and purified forever. Here, the poet says about a small boy who enjoyed mashing the potatoes. Suddenly, the boy was died because he went as a soldier. Not only he was as a grown up and he was a very small boy, but he was died because he went as a soldier. He does not know what is meant by life, but the war takes his life. Next, the poet say, if a small boy goes out for a play, he will be cleaned after returning home. But now he went as a soldier and returned back home as a dead. So he has to be cleaned by the sand of earth. So in the second stanza, the poet say how the war takes a young man. Next, let's move to the third stanza of the poem. The doom of the unknown soldier across there on enemy side, a good landmarks for gunners of the future, are the war monuments in London at Hyde Park Corner, decorated like a magnificent cake. It another soldier lifting a head and rifle, another cannon, another eagle, another stone angel. And the whipped cream of a huge marble flag poured over it all with an expert hand. But the candid, much too red cherries were already gobbled up by the glutton of hearts. Amen. Here in the third stanza, the poet says about a war monument which is built for dead people. In London, there was a place named Hyde Park Corner in which there was a monument built for a dead soldier. The monument looks very beautiful, like a white cake. So, in the white cake, there was a soldier with a rifle, which resembles the upcoming of war and building of monuments once again for a dead soldier. So, here the poet wished not to build a monument once again by stopping the war. Next, let's move to the fourth stanza of the poem. I came upon an old zoology textbook, Braham Volume 2 Birds, in sweet phrases, an account of the life of the starling swallow and thrush, full of mistakes in antiquated Gothic typeface, but full of love too. Our feathered friends migrated from east to a warmer glimpse, nest speckled egg, soft plumage, nightingale. Stork, the harbingers of spring, the robin red-breasted. Year of publication, 1913 Gemini, on the eve of the war that was to be the eve of all my wars, my good friend who died in my arms in his blood. On the sands of Ashdod, 1948 June, oh my friend, red-breasted. So here, the poet says about a old zoology textbook, which was about bird. The poet talks about a particular bird named robin, whose necks are in black color and the chest looks red color. While seeing the bird robin, the poet able to remember his friend who was died in his hand and his chest was full of blood in a war which happens in Ashdod in 1948. Then the poet says the book was published in the year 1913. So when the poet hears the year 1913, he able to recall his first war which happens in 1913 in Germany. This was to be the starting point for all his war. So here the poet convey the message. If a soldier hears a year and when they see a red color, they only recalls the war. Next, let's move to the fifth stanza of the poem. Dicky was hit like the water tower at Yacht Motica hit. A hole in the belly. Everything came floating out. But he has remained standing like that in the landscape of my memory, like the water tower at Yacht Motica. He fell not far from there, a little to the north, near Howlakyot. So here, the poet says about a soldier whose name was Dicky. He said Dicky was hit in the war and his body was full of holes due to the gunshot. He compares the soldier with that water tower in Yacht Motica because the water tower also has the holes and damage due to the war. The poets say the water tower stands like a monument. Likewise, the dead soldier will always stays in his memory. Next, let's move to the sixth stanza of the poem. Is all of the sorrow I don't know. I stood in the cemetery dressed in the camouflage clothes of a living man, brown pants and a shirt yellow as the sun. Cemeteries are cheap. They don't ask for much. Even the waste baskets are small, made for holding tissue paper that wrapped flowers from the store. Cemeteries are polite and disciplined thing. I shall never forget you in French on a little ceramic plaque. I don't know who it is that won't ever forget. He is more anonymous than the one who died. Is all of the sorrow, I guess so. May I find consolation in the building of the homeland. But how long can you go on building the homeland and not fall behind in the terrible three-sided race between consolation and building and death? Yes, all of this is sorrow, but love a little love burning always, like the small pulp in a room of a sleeping baby that gives him a bit of security and quiet love, though he does not know what light is, or where it comes from. So here in the sixth stanza, the poet says about cemeteries. He say the cemeteries are built for a dead people. Whereas the cemeteries are cheap, they were only tissues with small dustbin. And also there were more quotes written in marbles and ceramics. But we cannot find who wrote and for whom they wrote. There was a quote, I shall never forget you. We don't know who written this. More than a dead person, the quotes were more. But everyone forgot the dead person as the time passes. We can come out of the sadness only through the consolation that everything happened only for the goodness of our homeland and its growth. But the poet does not have faith in it because everything ends only in death. But more than this, we can come out of this only through the love we share to others. The poets say how a mother light a candle when a baby sleep in order to make the baby comfort. So like this, we should show love to all by stopping war. So this was in the sixth stanza of the poem. Next, let's move to the seventh stanza of the poem. Memorial Day for the war dead, go take on the grief of all your losses, including a woman who left you to the grief of losing them. Go mix one sorrow with another like history, that in its economical way heaps pain and feast and sacrifice onto a single day for easy reference. Oh, sweet world, soak like bread in a sweet milk for the terrible. Toothless God, behind all this, some great happiness is hiding. No use crying inside and screaming outside. Behind all this, some great happiness may be hiding. Memorial Day, bitter salt, dressed up as a little girl with flowers. Ropes are strung out the whole length of the road. For a joining parade, the living and the dead together. Children move with the footstep of someone else's grief, as if picking their way through broken glass. The flutist's mouth will stay pursed for many days. A dead soldier swims among the small heads with the swimming motion of the dead, with the ancient error that how about the place of the living water. A flag loses contact with reality and flies away, a star window tucked out with beautiful races for women in blue and white, and everything in three languages Hebrew, Arabic, and death. A great royal beast has been dying all night long under the jasmine with a fixed stare at the world. Women whose son died in the war walks up the street like a woman with a dead fetus inside her womb. Behind all this, some great happiness is hiding. So, here in the seventh stanza, the poet tells about a memorial day. In this day, we should come out of all our sadness and griefness towards a dead soldier. During this day, flutes get a job, and small children make a march fast by dressing up in the same color with ribbons. The memories of the dead person swims in our head, and women will be dressed in blue and white in order to express their sorrowness towards a dead soldier. And the flag will not be flied high during this day. So everything happens in one side, and the another side there was a man who lost his son in the war and walks very silently with a broken heart. He feels like a mother carrying his dead fetus because his son was died and there is nothing more to lose in his life. But at the end, all this happened with some hiding happiness. The poets say there is no happy ending due to the death and war. Thank you.